Ashby, and we're talking to Harv Haverstock Jr., whose real name... I'm sorry, there are two Harvs, aren't there?
Yeah.
Harv Holland, whose real name, I was trying to think of your real name as I said that, which isn't Harv, it's...
Well, that's the name I go by.
Yeah,
my parents called me Junior.
Junior, and your real name,
My first name is James Harvey Holland Jr.
James Harvey Holland Jr.
Right.
So we've got that straight.
Okay.
And he grew up on the Haverstock. Oh, there I go again with the Harv, you know, the Holland show, and you were talking about laughs and laughs stopping the show. Let's start there.
Well, I'll repeat then. I mean, this day and time, there used to be in show business the expression stopping the show. And what it means was that the audience got to laughing so much that they would become hysterical, I guess you'd call it. And they couldn't quit laughing, and they laughed so loudly they couldn't hear the performer, and the performer would have to stop and wait till they could quit laughing, and sometimes this went for 4 or 5 minutes. I mean, you really stopped the show. You don't hear that today. I mean, we had extra comedian, Bob Hope, you know, he's funny, really funny. But did you ever hear an audience laugh and laugh to where he'd stop? They don't do that. It's a different technique that they use today.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's the greatest sound in the world, is an audience laughing.
Can we go back and pick up some of the chronology? When were you born?
March the 22nd, 1919. Right after World War I.
1919, and where was this?
Midlothian, Texas.
Midlothian, and your parents were?
Harv and Una Holland, who themselves are were raised in Midlothian. And my father wasn't born there, mother was, but or rather out in the country from where Midlothian is. And my daddy was born in Hamilton, Texas, really, but he moved as a very little bitty kid. His father bought a dry goods store in Midlothian, and incidentally was in the same location 50 years, at the D.B. Holland Dry Goods Company. But that is where my daddy grew up. And really went in show business when he was 6 years old. And that's when it started.
And you have 2 sisters?
Yes, I have an older sister, Maxine, who was at one time the leading lady on my daddy's tent show. And then my little sister, Betty Jane, who came along after we'd gotten out of the show business.
Now, how long were you on the show? Do you remember?
Well, of course, I was born on it. For the first 10 years, that's all I knew. I never left it, but when I was 10, I went away to school, to boarding school. But I was still on it in a way. I mean, that's what Daddy did for a living. Till I was, I guess I was 15 before he got out of the show business, or 16. And he went into the business of making scenery, which of course he could do. He made his own scenery for years when he was in the business.
He had a studio in Slayton, I think.
That's correct.
Right outside here.
Yes, that's right. The name of the company was the Superior Scenic Company. And did quite well for several years. But it was tough because Mother had to go out and do the selling. They were always separated. They were not happy not being together. So she'd be gone for a week, come in on weekends. So they got to do something else.
And you, were you playing child roles on the show then?
Oh yeah, of course the first time I went on the stage I was 2 weeks old. Well, I was a little older, about a month old. I was born in Midlothian, and my father had, before I was born, was in San Antonio working for a tab show. This, burlesque was what it is. And he got a job working with Bronx comedian Fred Monty. Yeah. And he took the job because it was open. And Mother went home to have a baby, not me. And then as soon as I was born, 2 weeks old, she got on the train and joined him. I think they were in Florida at the time. I don't remember that, of course. But they had a part where someone carried a baby instead of carrying the doll on the stage. They carried me. Yeah, I can't remember the first time I went on the stage. I don't remember it at all.
Can you remember some of the roles you played?
Well, there are several versions of the play East Lynn that have been written. One of them has a scene where the baby dies on stage. Now, I played that role, but I was young, I don't remember. I don't remember at all. And I can't remember when it started, except the first thing I did was a specialty. They made me a little kid, 4 or 5 years old, who could tell a funny joke and sing a little bit. But I do sing a little bit, only. You know.
And you were probably 4 or 5 years old then.
Well, I was so young, I can't remember when I started. But now I did that specialty. I never quit. A sung specialty. Till I 10, all the way to school.
A song and dance?
Well, that same special. Well, here's the jokes. Folks, I want to tell you about my gal. She built like a fiddle. She got a long neck, and then a little bit, and then not quite so much, and then a whole lot. And then, I told 2 other jokes. I can't remember what they were even now. And then sang, "Show me the way to go home." That was it. But then Daddy would write play. Daddy never wrote a play. He was not a playwright. On the other hand, he never put a play on that he didn't rewrite. And he was especially careful not to have any curse words or suggestive language. He would write those things out. That's what he did in for his show. And so he'd write me parts in, see? I'd come in, it's a paper boy, hey, extra, wasn't in script, but you had another guy walked across the stage. And then I think, as I told you yesterday, on Saturday afternoon, he got the idea of letting me play the part. We put, for Saturday matinee, we put on Rebecca's Honeybrook Farm. And he got the idea of letting me play the part of Baichi, who is really, as the play's written, as a little farm boy. But Daddy played him as a Toby. And of course, I had seen it for, I don't know, weeks and weeks and weeks, so I played it just like my daddy did. I even made up it was makeup, as Toby makeup. He gave me one of his wigs, which by that time, now I was about 8 years old. My head was larger than Daddy's, so we had to take some scissors and slit the wig. And then Mother, to keep it from tearing on, she put some elastic pieces in the slit and sewed them down so the wig would keep on tearing, so it would be big enough to fit me. And so I did a Baichi on Saturday afternoon. And that was always a good drawing card. I'm going to send you a picture of me made up as a Baichi from my hometown when I get home.
Oh, I'd like to have that.
Okay.
Love to have that.
But that's about all. Now, then I went to school. Now, when we got up in Missouri, there was just Dad and Mother and Jean and Maxine. The show had closed. Now,
but this is when you had your own show then? When,
right.
When you had Holland comedians.
Right.
Or Bay and Holland.
Okay, now,
Holland and Bay, wasn't there?
Well, no. As I told you, when I was born, Daddy had a job working for Fred Bronk on Merchant Comedians Down. Bronk closed down. I don't know why particularly, but he sold his show to Daddy and a man named Billy Lee, and it was known as the Holland Lee Players. Now, at this time, the show was in the state of Missouri, and for some reason, the Holland Lee Players did not make money. They went on for several weeks, and finally, Daddy bought out Mr. Lee, and then at that time named it the Holland Comedians, changed it to a Toby show, and started making money immediately. And it was Ben, and that was, well, I don't know the dates because I was an infant, but it was, I was born, that must have been about 20 or 21 when this occurred. But he had his own show then, Holland Comedians, till he closed it in 1929. And it was a very, very successful show. I mean, money was no object, for Daddy,
Yeah.
Life was sweet then. But things changed. In 1929, not only the Depression hit, but the radio came in and talking pictures. So we'd always had picture shows, but silent pictures are no competition for a good live stage show, whereas talking pictures are. And it changed things. And, so he just closed the show down because Maxine was married at that time and was going to have her first child. And she went to her husband's hometown, Carthage, Missouri, for the birth to occur. And so Daddy's mother decided they'd go too. He bought a grocery store, a little neighborhood grocery store. And he had that for a year, say. And then you could get a job in the Depression. So my brother-in-law didn't have a job, so they got together and found, I guess I don't know if they advertised, but anyway, they found another couple of show people who could do parts. So the 6 of them formed this circle stock.
Where was this now?
Now this is Carthage, Missouri.
Carthage.
Yeah.
You use Carthage as the hub and went out from there?
Right, right. And the towns, I know, I can't remember the towns, because one of them was in Arkansas, a little bitty town in Arkansas, but it was a good show town. I mean, we filled them up there. Well, each town we'd play once a week, a new play, you know. Of course, when you ran out of plays, then you had to get you a new town. To start the script over. Because he had, at that time, accumulated a trunk full of plays. Whatever happened to him, I don't know. But we had plenty of material to run such a show on. And then they found a tent for sale, and they bought that and came back to Texas.
And then you were still a baby at the time. I mean, very.
Well, no, when I came back to Texas, I was 15. I
see.
Yeah, I did some parts in Missouri now. Not kid parts. I was 14, but I was full grown. Well, I say full grown. I was 5'4". But I got by on the stage doing parts.
Yeah.
Mostly character parts because I had to put on a lot of makeup and white wigs and things of that sort.
It's always the kids who played the character parts.
Well, you couldn't be a leading man because your voice really was too high, or it looked too young, you know. And without a lot of makeup, and you put a kid in your hand, that helped you do something with your hands too that would give away your tender age. You know. Girls can get by much better than a boy could at 14. Yeah. Especially pretty girls. You know.
Well, let's talk about going to school. What schooling did you have along this line?
Right. Well, the first schooling I had, you mentioned that you knew Bob Lethang, right?
Yeah.
Now, his mother-in-law was an ex-school teacher, and she came to visit her daughter and Robert on our show. He worked for us. He was on the show at the time. So she saw the need for an education, and my sister Maxine and me. So she goes to the and says, "Look, I'm a qualified teacher. Why don't you hire me to teach the children in school, the 2 of them, and also to sell tickets. I can sell tickets for you." And so she talked herself into a job, and she traveled with the show. And of course, she would go to the school and bought the textbooks, and and that's the education I had then. I didn't start. I was 8 years old before this started. Before that, my mother had taught me a few things, I suppose. But anyway, that's when my schooling started. And when I was 10, they decided to send me away to a boarding school. I was going to go to San Marcos Military Academy. We went up to see about it. But then times were getting tough, so we had my aunt's sister offered to keep me in Clarksville, Texas, and go to public school. And he got to thinking about it, and he was skin folks, and these were people we knew, she knew. So he let me go stay with Mrs. Crawford, was a reformer. People called her Miss Maple, the kids called her Miss Maple. That's what I called it.
Now, how old were you then?
10. I was
10.
in 5th grade. And I stayed there the 9 months in Clarksville, and then, by that time, my parents had moved to Carthage, Missouri. And so I got on the train, and I stayed and went to public schools in Carthage there. Now, they did move away 1 year, and I lived with I was in school, I did so well in school, that they didn't want to move me, and they let me stay with one of my best friend's family, a family named Hyman there. I stayed there my last year of grammar school, graduated there. And then they moved back to Carthage, and my freshman year in high school, I went to Carthage. And then that summer, as soon as I got to the freshman school, we went on the tent show. They got this tent show, and they started back to Texas, where he was known. He thought business would be better in Texas.
So you worked summers then on the show?
I did that summer and the next summer, but after that, I got a job working at the soda fountain in my hometown, Midlothian, and that was such a good job. I didn't want to go down as an actor, you know. And so I didn't travel to the show anymore. We did, when I was in college, I was a sophomore. They were in the senior business, but they decided to put on a play. A little town near Midlothian, I can't even remember the town. So Dad and Maxine and mother and then me and the girlfriend I was going with. Those are the 6 people in the cast. And she was going to North Texas the same as I was, and we had to run our parts. No rehearsal, man. I mean, she was a very clever girl to have done it, really, with no dramatic training at all. And they gave her the lead. She played the leading part. And I was the heavy in the play. I'll never forget that. And we did put on that play. But other than that, I was through with show business for myself.
Were you able to keep up with your schooling? I mean, did you feel handicapped not having gone to public school?
Terrible handicap. Living on a tent show is no way to raise children, I'll tell you. There's no way. I mean, the biggest handicap is the child. You don't develop, you don't have any friends, really. So you're in a town a week, you don't have, that's not time enough to really develop a friendship. And I was starved for friendship, you know.
For children?
Yeah, for people my own age. Now there were, at times, other children on the show, but they weren't my age. A child that's 3 years younger than a boy 10 is just 7 years old, and there's not, you know, I mean, you have to be careful not to hurt the little fellow, you know. I mean, these old, you need somebody 10, a 10-year-old boy needs somebody 10 to run around with. And also, my teacher, I'm sure, did a good job, except going to public school. When I first went to public school, it's all I could do to pass. I felt like I was, you know, lacking something upstairs. And the first year was like that.
You were able to pick up, though.
Well, a year later, I was an understudent, you know. And then, boy, I liked it, you know, from that time on. Really, you know, but I wanted to go to school. I was happier, actually, even if I had to be away from my parents. I was happier at school and running around with my friends, and, you know, in a home environment than I was traveling on the show. So I had made up my mind I was not going to be in show business. I was going to do something else. I had no idea what it was, but and I did. I've never. On the other hand, I enjoy being on the stage and taking a part in a play, and it's rewarding.
It's infectious.
It sure is. Sure is.
Well, you've stayed totally away from show business then after you got once out of this.
Now, I did take some speech courses in college because by that time I had thought maybe I would make a lawyer, and I enjoyed that, you know. And then I did. I was in a few college plays too. mostly in radio plays. I took a course in radio speech, and that was fun, But I did try to go back, and I did try. My voice is too good for radio. I might improve on it if I worked on it, but I never did. I never wanted to go into show business. So.
Suppose we go ahead and pick up the events of your life and then come back to show business. You graduated from high school then in
Midlothian, yeah.
In Midlothian, and then you went to college?
Yes, I did. The first year, Trinity University was at Waxahachie in those days, and that's just 10 miles from Midlothian. And my freshman year, I went to Trinity. My sophomore year, I transferred up to North Texas, and that's where I graduated. In 1941, I graduated. I had to work my way through. Some work, and I didn't take a full load every semester, and I had to graduate in August rather than June. So in August, my degree was awarded, and I went to way down South Texas to a town called Fountain Furious, and that's where I taught till the war broke out, though, in December. So I only taught there 4 months. And
that meant you were drafted?
Volunteered? Well, I got my invitation to join them, through the mail. And so I went home, and rather than be drafted, I decided I would select something. So I enlisted in the aviation cadet program to be a pilot. And unfortunately, or maybe luckily, I didn't make it. I mean, for flying, I couldn't turn me. My dad's an acrobat, but I did not adhere to that. You turned me upside down, and man, I don't operate at all. And that was true in aviation. I just couldn't fly an airplane. So instead of being an aviator, they made me an administrative officer. And in the Army, I was a military personnel officer, is what I did, what I ended up doing, finally.
Where were you stationed?
Well, for the most part, in India, in a town called Jorhat, which is in extreme northeast India, right on the Burma border, just a few miles, and way back in the jungle. The nice thing about that was, jungle's interesting, really. I really did enjoy it, that part of it. And another thing, there's nothing back there to spend your money on. So for 2 years, I saved up my wages, and I came back. I was, instead of being a poor boy, I was for a change. I had some money in the bank. But I don't want to go back, but I wouldn't take anything for the experience either. I hate to say I enjoyed the war, but I did. I was happy. I really did. I had some friends over there that were wonderful people.
Well, what were they flying from that base there?
Transport aircraft only, and the name of the plane was the C-84. And we
is that the flying box
some of them
car?
were, right, old goats. I mean, you get in and they creak and they groan, and you just know they're going to crash, But they don't. I mean, some do, but it's a good airplane, it was. And half of them were tankers that we just hauled gasoline over, and half of them, they hauled various things, ammunition and whatnot,
This was all CBI stuff then?
Right, right.
What was your rank?
Well, when I lieutenant most of all, when I got out, I was a captain.
You were the captain. What happened then when you came back?
Well, I went to law school.
Where was this?
At the University of Texas for a year and a half. I got halfway through law school, and I decided that that I was not cut out to be a lawyer. I was studying, I was working. I mean, I was very ambitious as a young man, and I was doing my very, very best. And I was a C was the highest grade I could make, was C. And I had friends who they'd get to class, and after they got to play golf. And a couple of hours they'd look at the textbook, and they were A students. And you said, gosh, if I got, something's wrong here, I better get another line. So I decided to take take selling as a career, and that's what I became. I've been a salesman all my life. Well, I did, after I taught school, I was at, when I decided to resign from law school, I went across the street to the restaurant where all the law students hung out, and bought a cup of coffee and a newspaper, and turned to the one ads, and lo and behold, they were advertising for a coach at the junior high school in Beeville, Texas. So I walked over and phoned the superintendent and got an appointment for an interview. And I couldn't go that day because I had a car at the time, and he didn't have any brakes on. So 3 or 4 days later, we had an appointment. I went down there and hired me, and I taught school that year. But,
had you coached before?
well, yes. I had, my daddy was an acrobat. I told you I had no aptitude for that, but I was athletically inclined. I was a very good little football player, and I coached when I was a freshman in high school. I was asked to coach the junior high school there in Carthage, Missouri, and we won the city championship. I had that experience behind me. And then, at Beeville, I had a little team. Well, not Beeville, Val Furious, I mean. I had a team that year. And then, of course, when I went to Beeville, I coached Beeville, coached everything, track. Well, we decided not to have a basketball team because we did not have a gym. But I coached both track and football too. And there, at Beeville, I only lost one. In 3 years, I lost one game coaching football. So yeah, I can coach. I can coach. If I had majored in physical education, which I didn't. See, that's what I had to teach to coach. I had to teach phys ed, and I knew I wasn't doing a good job because I had no preparation in teaching. I mean, I got my job back. Most, they hated to see me go. I mean, I did try hard, but I mean, like they had tumbling classes and things. And I would tuck the boy to teach tumbling or anything like that, and so I just didn't like it. Maybe if I'd taught history or something and I was qualified to teach, I'd probably have been a schoolman, because a lot of my kinfolks are school people, And but it didn't turn out that way. I got to end up selling.
You got married somewhere in here.
Yeah, but this was later.
Later.
I married when I was 34. But
So you went to Beeville for a year and then took a selling job.
right, I moved from Beeville. I moved to the state of Kentucky. That was the territory I got, and I was working for a Star Engraving Company which manufactured graduation rings, invitations, diploma certificates of all kinds, and called them schools. That's what I did for a year and a half. And then my uncle, an uncle of mine, was in the ladies' dress business in Texas and was making a lot of money in it. And I wasn't making a lot of money selling rings. That's tough to break into. So he taught me going to work for him.
Turn this over. We were, you had an uncle in the lady.
Oh yeah, and so I went to work for, he hired me to work for him, to be his chauffeur and carry the samples. And also, the company gave me a line of samples. He'd give me some towns, small towns to work, so he'd have time to work on the larger accounts. And that really he was just teaching me to sell ladies' clothing. The plan was for me to get my own line, my own territory, which, I think 3 months, I worked there under that arrangement about 3 months, and then the company themselves offered me the territory of Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama, and I took it, and that was my own territory. So I was with that company 13 years in that same territory, And that was a good business. About a single, then I enjoyed traveling. But then my wife came to work for the company as a secretary.
What happened here?
I remember, yeah.
Okay, where were we? We were selling dresses.
I think you just met me, Harvey.
Do what now?
I think you had just met me.
Oh, yeah, my wife came to work at Brogan and Jennings as the boss's secretary, and that's where I met her.
Uh-huh.
And a year later, well, we married. And that's the end of where I liked the dress business. I mean, it was an easy way to make a living in those days. You know, right after the war, it was a seller's market, you know. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
Goods were hard to get, and you could just walk in off the streets and say, I'm a dress salesman, can I show you my line? And they said, yeah, we'd love to look at it. And you know, it was a lot easier. Well, I worked at the time. I enjoyed it when I was single, I really did. But we a year after we married, we had our first child. And
What year was that? Just so we
this is 53. We married 54. David was born. The boss and I got in an argument one day, and he fired me. So she said, "Well, you're making a change, make a good one, get off the road. I'll go to work if I have to." Which it turned out she didn't go to work right away because we had just been blessed with our third child. My daughter was born, and she had to stay home first year, take care of the child. And then, but after that,
Now, where were you living then?
Irving, Texas.
Irving.
Since I married her, we've always lived in
You
Irving.
always lived in
Always lived in Irving. We bought a house. The second year we were married, we bought our house. And maybe the first year, the second year we moved into our home, and which we kept the same house until her apprentice died in 1975, both of them. And she inherited the house we live in today, which at that time it was paid for and ours was not, so we liked hers better. So we sold our home, moved into our present home. And but in Irving, that's Irving too. We've always lived in Irving. And, but that's just about it for me. I mean, really, I don't know.
Well, let's go back. I can pick up the show business aspect. I think there's some goods and bads of kids growing up on a show like that.
Oh, yeah.
What are some of the good aspects of it? What are the good things you remember?
Learning to speak in front of people is very educational. In my
So you
case,
think
I made
you're-
my living speaking
Yeah.
to people.
You think your selling ability was enhanced by this
Well, it
experience?
certainly wasn't hurting, you know. And then as an actor, it helped you do a lot of things. For example, when I got in the Army, I was very good. Now, I'd never been to military school. I never had a uniform on. But I was young and ambitious. I studied at night. Instead of playing poker and going and drinking beer, I would read the soldier's manual. And I became an excellent drill instructor because I had a voice to speak to people. See, on the stage, a stage voice, right? And well, that helped me get to go to officer candidate school. Really, it was my ability to handle men. Yeah, and they like to. People appreciate the ability. They like to march when I was giving the orders, counting the cadence and whatnot. You know, and that helped me in that respect. You know, and also later on making speeches to the troops. You got to make announcements. I did have a good speaking voice for that. In that respect, it helped me. But I don't know. I mean, of course, traveling's educational. It's an education. I'll grant you, you know. But
Well, you have an ability to meet people easily and make friends, haven't you?
yes, I do.
I think that may have come some from the show, maybe.
And of course, in business, your ability to remember is always handy. And this running lines and running parts and thinking on your feet is good training. And it's helped me all my life doing everything I've ever done, really.
Did you feel kind of cheated of parents in those days, that your parents were always off doing something else?
No, I never in my life ever felt that I wasn't loved. I didn't have that part. What I missed was having friends like other kids had. See, my daddy was a well-known showman. We couldn't go in a restaurant and sit down and have a meal without some character, hey, aren't you Arlo? Oh, boy, I saw you. You know, and here you trying to eat, and here's some clown that you don't even know. I wouldn't even sit at the same table with them. They'd sit at the table, I would go to the counter and eat as a little kid. I wasn't going to, But Daddy, that's, if you want a show, you got to fill the tent, and that's part of it, public relations.
Mm-hmm.
So he'd sit and he'd talk about it, and they'd talk to him,
Were you embarrassed by having people come up like that?
It wasn't embarrassed me, it hacked me. I wanted some privacy.
Oh, I see. This was your family, you wanted to.
Well, even little kids.
Yeah.
The people who liked me because I was a showboy.
Mm-hmm.
Or hated me for the same reason. Back in those days, there were some people who looked down on show people as they assumed they had no character. And now there is a byproduct that has helped me, because some people assumed I had no character. I had never used curse words. I cleaned up, and I had never told dirty jokes. And that was because I wanted, if somebody thought I was going to be better than they were.
Mm-hmm.
And that really did a lot for me, character-wise, is having somebody assume that I had no character.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the kind of friend you is, that people like you just because you're on the show. One time, there's another little kid on the show, and now this is before I did invite you, but I've forgotten his name. But anyway, Saturday afternoon, they featured this in the matinee, and I've forgotten what we did on the show. But they announced after the show, we will have a party, a children's party. There'll be ice cream and cake, and Junior Holland, they'll be there, see. And so we went outside the tent, and here's all these, a couple hundred kids ran right at us, And it's frightening, man, and they're surrounding us and all talking, and this other little boy kind of talked to his nose and says, "This is a hell of a party." And he was right. It was a hell of a party, But that is, there's something that you can't leave a normal child's life, really, I feel sorry. I'm sure that people, the actors still have this problem. They're in show business. But, of course, it's nice to be admired, I guess, if you're an adult. But I don't know. The kids are a little different, really. Or at least I was,
How was your relation with your sisters then?
Oh, well, see, we were very close. Well, my older sister especially now. Unfortunately, my little sister and I were separated most of the time. See, I went to school, she went to another school or something. And I'm 10 years older than my youngest sister, and only 8 years younger than my older sister.
So you were spread out, is it?
Yeah, we were spread out, but then my older sister and I were friends, real good pals,
Mm-hmm.
And we ate together. She and I went to eat together on the show. We were close.
Where would you stay? Were you staying in hotels?
Well, in those days, in boarding houses, yeah.
Boarding houses.
You'd have boarding houses, and occasionally you would want something different. You'd rent an apartment for a week. Sometimes you can get those, and occasionally we'd do that. But and there's one town we went to. I say one, several towns probably. The one that I remember, the daddy had such a good friend there. He said, "Hart," said, "No, you'll stay at my house. I moved in, go back home, me and my wife, and you have to stay there. No charge, don't charge you down. You stay at my house this week." And we got this whole house, and this guy now was Jesse James, who was the state treasurer for years and years.
Yeah.
Well, at that time, he was in the cafe business in some little town in Texas. And he and Daddy were very, very good friends. And every time Daddy was through Austin, he'd go and see Jesse, see. And, come in, he couldn't, first they had to wait. Well, they sat here and visit for a while, But, and then, people were always giving you things. I mean, giving things to Daddy. I know he had a sheriff giving him a pair of cowboy boots. An expensive pair of cowboy boots, too. Now, they were second hand. The sheriff, they were a pair that fit him too tight or something. But anyway, he gave him this pair of boots. And, I wanted those boots. But, unfortunately, when I got old enough where he would give to me, my feet were too big. I'm a little bit bigger. Well, of course, now the most important thing you do in show business, if you're going to be successful at it, is to fill the tent Monday night. And you put on your best play Monday night. You put on your best specialties. And you do everything in the world. You don't care whether you make money or not. So you let ladies free with each paid admission. You do that on Monday night. And you give out a lot of passes to prominent people like the mayor of the town and maybe the sheriff, whatever, And you assure yourself that you're going to have, by now, if you fill it Monday night, it's going to be full all week, man. You've made it. You made it in one night. And if you don't fill it Monday night, you've got a problem. But, and that is where, now Daddy didn't work hard for that, to fill the tent Monday night. I know we'd get to town on Sunday. In the summertime, we'd all go swimming. And he would put on diving exhibitions, being an acrobat. He was a marvelous diver. And who is that up here? And the word got around, well, it's Harbaugh on the tent show, And this helped get people to the show Monday night, And, but that, I know Daddy was also very good at doing feats of strength. Now, as little as he is, you wouldn't think he was a strong man. And he wasn't strong. They were tricks, of course. But sometimes when you put up a tent, you put up the centerfolds first, and you have a rope and a pulley on the top. And sometimes the pulley gets out of whack. It won't work. Now, you can do two things. You can lower the pole down and fix it, or you can climb the pole and fix it. So Daddy would take this rope up to the pulley and hand over hand now. He would just climb it with his legs extended out now like a trapeze artist. Mm-hmm. And the leg, and smile like it's easy. You never see him breathe heavy, and you go up this rope, hold on with one hand, fix the pulley, and then come down the same way. And when you get down, you but in a thing, you'd be some cars would stop and going about the tent and watching, and they don't clap, And this now took trick. Now, on a tent, you've got side poles around the perimeter of the thing. And for each pole, you've got a rope that's guided out to a stake. Now, he could take, it's pretty easy, anybody can put the pole under your arm here, like that, and extend your legs straight out. Now that's not easy either. I've seen some people can, but they do it now. Yeah. He could do the same thing, except he would hold his hands except he'd turn like that. But I mean like that, and that's almost impossible to do, but he could do it, and he could hang up there for a long time too. And that he would do for people hanging around watching the tent, And also you'd have to drive those stakes, and we had two great big, strong, black colored men that would go around the stake, and they were a show actually. One hit, one hit like that, and Daddy would take up. Now, here was the trick. They had 16 ounce, and Daddy had a 12 ounce. And he would take it with one hand, and he'd take a turn in rotation. There'd be three driving these stakes, but he did one handed, see. And that looked a lot better than it was. He wasn't all that strong, but there again, I mean, this is all trying to fill the tent Monday night, all these things.
Well, you had black men touring on the show with you?
Sometimes. We had...
That's the first time I've heard of this.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Oh, gosh, Elmo and Tressa were with us for years.
Were they performing or only working?
Oh, no, they were just
Only
canvassing.
working.
And Elmo was the man singer.
Mhm.
And some little town, he met Tressa. And we were going into Houston for winter stock. Now, she didn't go with us either, because there wouldn't be any place for her to sleep except for the tent. That's where the hands stayed at the tent. But Tressa then, we had a garage apartment in the back. Daddy bought a house in Houston. And Tressa became our maid and cook.
Mhm.
And Elmo stayed down, was the stagehand. And there wasn't much for him to do because the tent stayed up all winter, see.
Yeah.
He would just, he'd get up and pick up the paper around off the ground in the mornings, straighten the chairs, and he was through for the day. And I guess he worked around the house. I don't know what Elmo did. Mostly he just hung around during that winter. But we still get letters from Elmo. Now, he divorced Tressa. They didn't stay married that year. But Elmo was left, once the show closed, he left too. And he moved to, he got into Merchant Marines, and he's now living, or if he's still alive, he's living in California.
Mm.
But somehow he got their address when they were living in Fort Worth, and they received letters from him. Yeah, about once a year.
That's marvelous.
Yeah. And he was, but we thought a lot of Elmo. He was a nice fellow, you know.
You had a colored seating area in the tent, though.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yep.
And of course, everybody didn't know.
You had to in those days.
Yeah. And
What else happened? What happened funny? What happened when?
oh gosh, I bet there's 1,000 things, but I wouldn't know what to. They don't come to mind.
You ever blow your lines on stage?
Yeah. This I don't remember, but I've heard the trick. See, I'm back to this East Lynn, the death scene. I was playing the little baby that's going to die. And Mother was doing the soliloquy, and it's a very dramatic soliloquy. And people all over the audience will cry. You can hear them. Now we rehearsed it, see, and of course I wasn't doing anything except when I got my cue, I'd sit up and say Mother, and then lay back and die. See? But now, we did fine rehearsal. I didn't cry because I knew she was just acting. Now this I can understand. But she did tell me about the people in the audience crying. And I cried. Instead of being dead, I cried. See? It blew the whole thing. But, I never forget, I forgot the words one time to show me the way to go home. You know, I done it, I don't know, I have it at times.
Yeah.
But Daddy, I was so little, and I couldn't get on the stage with myself. See, the stage is up pretty high, and there's this ladder with things, steps that goes up there. And I was so little, he would carry me up the steps and to the wing, and when my time to go on the stage, he'd take me to go out and do my thing, and then when I came off, he'd wait for me in the wings, and then carry me down the steps again. And golly, I forgot the words to show me the way to go home. I was afraid to go on stage. I really went, you know, and he said, come here, come on. But he was smart daddy, you know. He said, don't worry about it. He says, that happens to me all the time. I mean, I've done that a lot. He says, what you should, but he just said, what you should do, you should rehearse. This week you rehearse, the next week you will learn. And he's right, because that's the only time that I forgot my specialty song.
You know, I recently went to a funeral, and the minister, who was old and retired, forgot the 23rd Psalm.
That's great.
He'd been doing it his whole life, you know, and he hadn't rehearsed it and hadn't thought of it. And I got up there and just totally scrambled it up.
Well, yeah, I bet it can be done.
Yeah.
You know, that's one of the sad parts of old age. The worries me most, or gives me, makes me more uncomfortable. I was always very good at remembering names as a salesman. I had to, but now I can go back to my hometown and these kids I grew up with, and I can't think of their names. Some of them saved my neck. I mean, good friends of mine. And this word don't come to me, you know. And but my daddy was like that too. He got to where he couldn't remember names like he did one time. His memory wasn't so good.
Last time I saw him, he was playing a cornet with no teeth, you know, and
That's all.
he could still blow it.
Well, you know, that's interesting too. You know, the cornet's what actually put him in show business. But he was never known as a musician among show people. He was never known for that ability. But actually, now when he was 6 years old, his daddy took him to see Molly Bailey's circus in Waxahachie. Now he knew right away, boy, he wanted to be a showman. He wanted to be funny like the clowns, he wanted to play horn like the musicians, and he wanted to be an acrobat. He knew what he wanted to do. So he came home and started practicing. His daddy now was a trumpet player. So his father taught him to age 6. Now by the time he's 8, he's playing in the town band, see. And that's where Mama saw him. She was a little baby sitting in her mama's lap in the wagon at the band concert. And this little boy was playing the trumpet. And that's the first time she ever saw her husband to be. But later on, now he playing this horn and learning how to be an acrobat down at the oil mill. Did he tell you about the oil mill?
Yeah, about practicing giant swings in the seed bin.
Yeah, the seeds where it's easy to fall. And that's where he learned to be a good acrobat there. Yeah, really too. But he got fairly good on this trumpet, and he played the band all those years, so he got the job as director of the Midlothian Municipal Band. Now this was when he came back from college. He got this job. He went at 18. He went away 1 year to college and came back. He worked in the store and became the band director. Now, as a band director, he met, I suppose, other band directors some way, because when he got married at 21 now, they eloped to Dallas and got married in Dallas, and they went on the train to Corsicana to spend their honeymoon. Now, while he was there, he got a job as a trumpet player in the biggest theater in Corsicana, in the orchestra playing the trumpet at $10 a week. And of course, in those days, you could live on $10 a week. And, not well, but you could live on it. And that he must have met that band director as a band director from Midlothian. That must be the end, and made friends. He must have he had some reason thought he might get a job. He would carry his horn with him down to Corsicana. So they that was a good place to see, because that was the vaudeville circuits came to Corsicana too. The best ones. So he got to see the show every day. And that's where he would develop his material too. He'd write these jokes down, and he and Mother would practice routines, And then they came back to Midlothian to where Maxine was born. And after she was coming along pretty good, he still had the show bug. So he decided to buy a tent and make the R-rated reunion, and he hired, he didn't have to put the tent up, so he had to hire an actor. So he put an ad in the Dallas Morning News, and a circus strongman saw the ad, and he came down, and he hired him. And he did always a couple of acts. He had a rope on a high tree, and it would come down at the end in his mouth, just one thing, and then he'd put a rock on his tummy and let somebody break it with an axe. That was his part of the show. But Mother and Daddy did the vaudeville acts. And we had a cousin of mine, a very pretty girl, could sing. And that was a show he took over to Alvarado and made a lot of money with. I mean, just luck, sometimes you're at the right place at the right time. And actually, with a little show like that, you can make a little money playing fairs.
Yeah.
That just to turn them into show, and especially if it's funny, and to hear that crowd laugh, see, once, then when that empties out, everybody else wants to go see that show, But that's, he was there 2 weeks and made all kind of money. Boy, he came back to Midlothian and moved to the next town, which is 5 miles from Midlothian, Venus. and put up the tent, and he came back to Midlothian and had that, you know, I've show Mrs. The tent burned down in Venice. What's that? Put it back
Oh, yeah.
right at the store. Then he he and mother went to Dallas to, I go on shore some weekend, you know, and they saw the railroad show. People, they had car shows, people, shows traveled by railroad then. And this had a sign across the Pullman. They had chant players or whatever chant show it was. And so he knocked on the door and applied for a job in the chant hired him. And he got, that was really his first job as an actor.
Roland Haverstock, the Haverstock boy, said he had long hair till he was 10 years old because he was playing girls' parts
Oh, really?
in the plays.
Yeah.
Did you ever play girls' parts?
Oh, no.
As a child, no?
No.
Mm.
No.
He said he played Mary in 10 Nights in a Bar Room for a long time, you know. I guess he played Eva, too, in Uncle Tom's Cabin for years there.
Yeah, that's a pretty big part for a little kid. I suppose it is. I've never seen it play really, but I mean, that's a main character in the
Yeah.
story.
Well, what else you got? Anything else?
Well, I worked at that. Did you get hungry?
Well,